Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Dr. Daniel Reed, Chair of the National Science Board, who also advises the President and Congress on science and engineering policy matters. Dr. Reed is also the Presidential Professor in Computational Science at the University of Utah, where he previously served as Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs. Dr. Reed, it's great to have you on Trade Talks. Welcome to the show. Why does the NSB believe that the U.S. is the keystone in the global science and engineering ecosystem?
Well, first, delighted to be here. Historically, the U.S. has been the overwhelming leader in science and technology globally. The core message really from this report is that the rest of the world is gaining ground. A keystone really means that we are a global anchor, a collaboration anchor. How we engage our partners around the world in basic science and technology partnerships is really a core element of how the U.S. remains globally competitive.
What did we learn in the S&E indicators about U.S. competitiveness with other countries?
Well, we learned that other countries are gaining on us. I often say that it used to be, if we thought about this as a track meet, we had a lap or two lead. Today, people are nipping at our heels. The U.S. remains the leader in global investment in basic research. But other parts of the world, notably China, are rapidly gaining on the U.S. And so that competitive advantage is not something we can take for granted. And one of the core messages is that we're really underinvesting in cultivating our domestic STEM talent, STEM being science, technology, math, and engineering. We have been a net importer of global talent for most of our history, but certainly since the Second World War. That's not a birthright. And certainly we see more students coming to the U.S. and returning home to their home countries as their opportunities there have increased. And so how we cultivate more domestic talent while continuing to attract the global talent that's driven our technology enterprise is really the challenge before us.
What challenges does the U.S. face in staying competitive going forward? Does it start at the grade school level? Where do we need to start attracting this talent?
It absolutely starts at the grade school level. So here's a perhaps scary statistic. If you use as a metric students who might be eligible for free or reduced school lunches, then every group in the US, regardless of ethnic background, is behind by the 8th grade. And they never catch up. And so we are losing millions of domestic STEM workers. And I want to emphasize that we're not just talking about people with graduate degrees. We're talking about the skilled technical workforce, people who might have associate degrees who work in STEM related fields as technicians. So we're missing half. If we actually had representation that was equal to the US population distribution, we double the number of women in STEM. We would triple the number of Latinx workers. We would double the number of Black workers. We're losing opportunities across the board. And that competition, as the rest of the world invests in cultivating its talent, is both a challenge and the opportunity before us. So it speaks to not only what we do at the national level, but it speaks to what we do at the K-12 level, at the state level. We have to increase investment. We have to nurture talent. In one of my previous roles, I was a VP for Microsoft. I traveled the world working on global technology policy. And the one message I repeated over and over again was that the only infinitely renewable resource that any society has is its people. And you invest in talent and you cultivate those. The societies that do so will win the global economic race. And we need to double down on that future.
Yeah, I was reading somewhere that there's 600,000 open positions that need to be filled by STEM workers, to your point, on the technical level, and of course, more advanced degree work as well. What does the U.S. need to do to ensure it maintains its role as a keystone in the global science and engineering ecosystem?
Well, first of all, for global talent, we need to make sure that our immigration policies accommodate the ability of students to come to the U.S., study, and stay in the U.S. workforce. And then, as I said, domestically, we have to work on increasing support for our domestic talent, because both of those are critical. The international students bring expertise and talent. We've historically attracted the best and brightest that the planet produced, and our success is dependent on that. but our domestic talent is an equal part of that. And we're losing ground on both of those. So it's immigration policy, it's federal investment in basic research, and it is state investment in K-12 education. All three of those things really matter.
All right, Dr. Reed, we appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.